In a world where carbs are your enemy, you need one man to help you fight your battles. That man is Jimmy.
Combating nutrition disinformation and general bull. It's Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com.
Looking for whole food supplements for your ketogenic lifestyle? Then let me introduce you to Further Food. Go to furtherfood.com and you'll see that they source the highest quality ingredients on the planet. They have collagen peptides and my favorite, the gelatin powder to make those yummy gummies. And all of it is sourced from grass-fed, pasture-raised bovine collagen from Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay. This is really high-quality collagen and gelatin. There's no hormones or antibiotics. It's non-GMO, and it's the most tasteless and easiest to use on the market. If you're not using collagen and gelatin, you need to be adding this to your ketogenic lifestyle. Collagen will help you curb your carb cravings. Again, head on over to furtherfood.com, enter the coupon code Jimmy at checkout, and you'll get 20% off your order. Elevate your wellness. Further Food.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another Instagram Live, and we're here with another episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website, and if you're brand new to this show, go check it out, you guys, JimmyRants.com. You'll see that we do this show a couple of times a day, and that's usually in the morning time and usually once in the afternoon time, every single day, or just about every single day. So go follow me over on Instagram and on Facebook. So Instagram Live here, Facebook Live there. And what we do is we talk about nutritional health. We let you guys comment on the topics that I talk about. And it's a fun show. I hope if you've never seen Jimmy Rants before and you're kind of getting your feet wet of watching this, usually I take some topic and I got a ton of articles just waiting for me to rant about. The problem isn't content. The problem is finding the time to do them. So what I like to do on these Friday shows is have an open Q&A session so I can literally answer any question you have about keto, about fasting, about cholesterol, about podcasting, book writing, pretty much whatever you want to throw my way, I definitely want to address. So if you're watching me live, you get to ask those questions. So I need you guys to comment, so put your comments down below and ask your questions, and I'll get to you guys here in a minute. If you missed the live, you can watch it on replay for up to 24 hours on Instagram. After it's over on Facebook, you guys can see it there and then share it. A lot of you guys do share this all over the various groups on Facebook, so thank you for that. But if you want to see the archives, you guys, you can go over to YouTube. I just hit, I believe this is episode 290 of Jimmy Rant. So I started this in October and we're at 290 with this particular episode. So go check them out, you guys. Type in a keyword Jimmy Rants over on YouTube. You will find the show. Finally, we do have a podcast version of this show. It's called Jimmy Rants. What else? And it has the best of the best moments of this here show in podcast form. JimmyRants.com is the website. All right, so we're going to need your help today, guys. So if you've just joined us and you're like, okay, what's he going to rant about? I'm ranting about what you want to hear answers to. So on Friday afternoons, I've been making it my tradition here on Jimmy Rants to open the floor to you guys all throughout the week. I sit here and I do rants all about specific topics, but Friday afternoons is your chance to ask whatever questions that you have lingering in the back of your mind about ketogenic diets, about fasting, about cholesterol, about podcasting, book writing, whatever you want to ask me. So let me see if there's anybody that has any questions. Please feel free, you guys. Go ahead and type them in to the box down here. And let's see if we got any on Facebook. Hi, Jimmy. I love your rants. Thanks for what you do for us. I just had an 8mm kidney stone taken out on Wednesday, says Pamela. The diet they give me was to eat wheat and rice and etc. Cut down on my protein and limit salt to 1 teaspoon of salt. So Pamela, the reason why kidney stones develop has probably nothing to do with what they shared that you should be eating now. Kidney stones, and of course, it depends on the kind of kidney stones, but kidney stones can develop, especially when you're on a ketogenic diet. People are like, oh my gosh, how did this happen? If you eat a ketogenic diet and then you allow for a cheat meal, I know we did we featured a study here not long ago, I think it was about a week ago, that just one cheat meal caused some vascular damage. Well, more than that, it actually can help to develop some of these kidney stones. So that could be the issue, but it's preposterous to think you need to have wheat and rice and then cut down on your protein. What does that mean? And then limit your salt to 1 teaspoon a week. What's that supposed to do? I don't get that. Brad says, I recommend your books in our Destination Health with Let's Truck on Facebook. Thank you for that. I love Michael Rutherford and his team. And yeah, I got the great honor of speaking at his conference. What was it, about 3 years ago I spoke at the Let's Truck conference. So that was pretty cool. We'd love to hear an interview with Kevin Rutherford on his Sirius XM radio show on some Wednesday. So Brad, I have been on his Sirius XM radio show. So go reach out to Kevin and let him know that you were interested. But yeah, I've been on his show before, really good friends with him. And yeah. Gerard, I don't get sunburn much anymore since going keto almost 7 years ago. What has changed? How does that work? So Gerard, you're not alone. There's a lot of people that they report that when they go keto, that they don't get sunburned as much anymore. Another interesting little side effect of ketosis as well is it's a natural bug repellent. I don't know if it's the ketones that they don't like the ketones or whatever that's in your sweat, but I've noticed that as well. But the sunburn one, I wonder if it has to do with the fats that you're eating in your diet, that they become a protective layer. And plus we also know that when you're in the sun, you're absorbing the sun's rays. And if you have adequate saturated fat in your diet, then you are creating vitamin D. So I wonder if there's a vitamin D component going on there that's because you're eating adequate fats, especially saturated fat, that it doesn't make your skin burn as much. And keep in mind, sunburned skin is a sign of inflammation. And so if you're having less inflammation in your body, it also stands to reason that your body would probably resist getting burned when you're in the sun. So it's probably a combination of a lot of the things I just shared, but that's pretty cool, right? You like that. Gerard also said maybe a lack of vegetable oils. Yes, because the vegetable oils are highly inflammatory, highly rancid, and yeah. Padme says, I wish with keto the mosquitoes love me. Well, you're just so sweet, Padme. That's why. All right. So if you're just joining us, we are doing an open Q&A session. So definitely give me your Q's so I can A them. That sounded so horrible, but that's what I'm doing. Give me your Q's so I can A them. Rezo Gal says, I've been eating pretty strict keto since August. I'm down 40 pounds. Congratulations. I want to start adding in movement. Is Couch to 5K a good start? Hey, anything is a good start. I'm a big fan. I don't know that specific program other than I've heard of it. I'm a big fan of high intensity interval training as well as resistance training. So resistance training is basically weightlifting. So anything that would build muscle. But high intensity interval training, it enables you to get some aerobic exercise, but in the process, you're also building muscle as well. You guys have seen me flipping the tire before. That's an aerobic, high-intensity interval workout, but also strength training combined. And I need to get back to that really, really regularly, and maybe I'll do some more Jimmy rants where I'll show that on screen. But it's a great way to get in a workout because you do about 10 to 15 minutes and you get in, intense periods of exercise and then you rest. and then intense period of exercise and you rest, and you kind of do this. One of the most common ones is sprints. So you run from one point to the next point over a period of, say, 30 seconds, and then you rest for, say, a minute. And then you do that, run again for another 30 seconds, and then you rest for a minute. And you just repeat that like 8 different times. And you only have to do that a couple times a week, and you get all the benefits from doing that. And then, of course, strength training you can do on a periodic basis as well on the days that you're not doing the intervals. I'm a big fan of that kind of movement. And if you're already down 40 pounds, you probably already have all this energy pent up inside of you. You're ready to let it go. And I'd say, hey, whatever's going to get you going, do it. Ashton says, my last blood work for cholesterol, my HDL was 60. Trigs went from 79 to 119. Is that normal? No, it's not normal, but I wouldn't worry about anyone reading. If you listen to my Keto Talk podcast yesterday, then you know we went over all of these really, really great health markers that you should be tracking. And one of those, obviously, is your triglycerides. If you missed that episode, go check it out, ketotalk.com. We went over a comprehensive list, Dr. Will Cole and I, of all the functional medicine kind of tests that he runs and the ranges that are the ideal for what he'd like to see in his patients. So for triglycerides, he wants to see that number go below 100. Now yours went from 79 to 119. It's not normal. He did make note though, if you're one of these people that likes to drink the bulletproof coffee, there's a lot of people that do, and then you have this extra gene called an ApoE genotype. So ApoE, if you have a 4 in there, that is usually associated with an increased risk of heart disease. A 4-4, you know, they almost say it's a death sentence in your 40s to have 4-4. Not always. People can mitigate that, the whole epigenetics. But the genetic expression means you've got to be careful with saturated fat. So if you don't know your ApoE genotype, you can ask for your doctor to run the ApoE. So it's APO and then capital E. So capital APO, capital E. ApoE genotype. And you only have to run it one time. It's a genetic test. It lets you see what your genes are. For me, I have the 3-3 ApoE genotype, which is the most common and the least problematic. I was always hoping that if that gene came back, that I'd have a 4 in there or something that would at least explain a lot in my family, since all the males in my family have had heart issues. I just knew I had a 4 in there, but nope, 3-3. So get that run. And if you have a 4 in there and you do like bulletproof coffee, or you do gobs and gobs of saturated fat on your ketogenic diet, not saying those things are in and of themselves bad for you, but that could explain for someone like yourself why you saw your trigs go from 79 to 119. But here's the thing, that 119 might have been an aberration. I bet if you run it again, you'll get a far different number. So never hang your hat on any one test result. Kitty Caddick says, we all know blood sugar spikes are bad, right? But is there any way to avoid those spikes during HIIT? I don't think the spikes are avoidable during HIIT, Kat, because I think they're necessary to fuel the workout. So yes, we're all attaining fat burning status. We all want to use ketones efficiently to fuel our bodies, but during a workout, your body, especially a glycolytically demanding workout, means it's going to release glucose from your glycogen stores. You want that to be released. You don't want it to stay up in there. But what that does is it helps to fuel you during your workout. Even in the absence of carbohydrates in your diet, I haven't had much carbohydrates at all this year doing this keto carnivore, and I still, it shocks people, but I still have glycogen in my muscles. Not gobs of it like a sugar burner would, but enough so that when I work out, as glycolytically demanding, that HIIT workout, the weightlifting, anything that requires kind of explosive power, you're going to release glucose into the bloodstream. So is that glucose, quote, harming you as you're thinking it is, Kitty Caddick? I don't think it is. I think what it's doing is it's being partitioned as fuel to help during the workout. Then once the workout's over, you kind of let everything calm down for a couple of hours afterwards. You prick your finger and you see what your blood glucose is, and it's down. You actually prick your finger in a couple of hours after working out, and you look at your blood ketones, you'll see magically that they've gone up. So I see it as nothing but a good thing, but great question. Peter, if you had a superpower, what would it be? Thanks for making a difference. I'm doing my superpower. I know how to talk gooder in front of the camera, man. That's what it is. I do kind of like the video aspect of interacting with people. When I'm in my podcast recording studio, usually I'm interacting with the guest, yes, but sometimes you kind of want that whole interaction with, I wonder what the listener is thinking right now. I wonder what questions are popping in their head. I wonder what comments they're saying. So that's what I'm always thinking about when I'm interviewing and doing my regular shows, or doing Keto Talk with Dr. Cole, or doing Keto Hacking MD podcast with Dr. Lemansky. I want to know what you guys are thinking. So that's why I love doing these Jimmy Rants, because I get instant feedback from you as to what you think. Christine says, my superpower would be able to put up with all the stupid people. Are you talking about me, honey? Are you talking about me? No, she's not talking about me. Not that exercise is evil, but still, exactly, Kitty Caddick. Val says, when you did an egg fast, what was a typical day of food? I'm considering starting one. So Val is referring to a post that I made on social media this morning. I had Woman's World magazine reach out to me a couple weeks back, and they said, hey, are you Jimmy Moore? Yes. We heard that you created this egg fast long time ago, and now all these people are doing this egg fast, and I wanted to do a story on it for Woman's World magazine. It's like, really? Something I did on a whim like a decade ago. So what is it? It is eggs, at least how I did it. It was eggs, butter, and cheese. So I had this plan for 30 days to eat just eggs cooked in butter with some cheese melted on top. So that was what the egg fast was. I did it for 30 days. I lost 20-something pounds, yada, yada. So I put it out there as an experiment because it was one of my first forays into doing some N=1 tests. And I got a lot of engagement from people that, wow, that sounds so interesting. Some people thought I was crazy. What it ended up doing for me was it was my first foray into understanding a little better this whole thing called ketogenesis. And so if you like Keto Clarity, my book Keto Clarity that I wrote in 2014, then you can thank that egg fast for kind of starting the wheels turning in that realm, because it was during that time that I ate only eggs, butter, and cheese that I actually started feeling the effects of nutritional ketosis before I even knew it. And so, yeah. So anyway, they're looking for success stories. Go look at any of my pages on social media, and you can see if you want to submit your name to possibly be in this magazine. But to your question, what's a typical day of food look like? It's literally eggs, butter, cheese. So if you wake up in the morning and you're hungry, I think during this time I did about 7 or 8 eggs cooked in grass-fed butter with some cheddar cheese on top. And when I ate that, I could go probably 8-9 hours, and then I would eat another 7 or 8 eggs. So it ended up being about 14 to 16 eggs a day for me. I have heard people eating upwards of 25 to 30 eggs in a day. That seems a little bit extreme, but maybe if that's all they're eating and they don't eat the butter and they don't eat the cheese, then calorically speaking, 1 egg is like 70 calories. So if you eat 20 eggs, that's only 1,400 calories. Yeah, I see. That was the reason I added in the butter and added in the cheese. You needed to get the calories up there a little more. Otherwise, you would get into a significant calorie deficit. If that research about one cheat meal can cause significant damage to your blood vessels, That was an incomplete sentence, Kat. I don't know what you're asking. Alberto said, Monsanto and Bayer is my rant. They live from veggies, and vegans don't see the connection. Bayer have crops to test GMO plants and pesticides. People there use suits like astronauts. Yeah, I have a story that I definitely want to rant about, Alberto, and I'm looking for it here. Here it is. Who's paying for Monsanto's crimes? We are. And so let me bump that up to the top of the list, because I definitely need to get to what's going on with Monsanto, the U.S. juries that are kind of coming down hard on this Roundup. And this is the time of year, you guys, that a lot of people are starting to use Roundup weed killer. There have been 2 jury trials, and they've lost. Monsanto has lost because of the negative health effects that come from this Roundup. So I have bumped that to the top of the list, Alberto, to talk about on Jimmy Rants over the weekend. If you could only get one, would you get an infrared sauna or a Juve light? Says Patty. So Patty, thank you for that. I have an infrared sauna literally straight downstairs from right here, and I literally just got a Juve light. So if you can get both, that's great. So here's the thing. What's your goal? Are you trying to cut down on blue light exposure and to lower inflammation levels through light therapy? Or are you wanting to get some of the stress reducing, cortisol lowering, blood sugar lowering effects that come, and inflammation lowering effects that come from infrared sauna? Pick your poison. What are you trying to accomplish? There's a lot of people that are so exposed to blue light that it's messing with their sleep. So for those people, I think the Juve light is probably good. For others who are dealing with higher inflammation and blood sugar levels and maybe some chronic pain in their body, I think an infrared sauna at that point is good. If you can get both, that's obviously ideal. Is there a time frame from when you start a keto diet to when you get into ketosis? Great question, Zona Gal. And let's define terms. You said get in ketosis, and that's a far different thing than keto adapted. You can get in ketosis within a few days. In ketosis means you're in that range, therapeutic range for ketones, where you start to get them to the level where they could become, you could become keto adapted. The problem is the range is really unknown. Volek and Finney started the range at 0.5 and went to 3.0 as kind of the range of being in ketosis. I think you don't really start to feel the effects of being in ketosis and shifting over to becoming keto adapted till you get to 1.0. So how long does that take to get to 1.0? It's going to vary from person to person. Did you come from a crappy garbage sad diet? That person, it could take 6 to 8 weeks. Did you come from just a general healthy-ish diet, low fat, whole grains, whatever? That person can probably do it in 2 to 4 weeks. Did you come from an already lower carb diet, something like a paleo diet, a Whole30, something like that? You might be able to get in ketosis within a week. And obviously, if you fast, you can get in ketosis within just a few days. But keto adaptation is a far different thing, and you'll know it. When you get keto adapted, you'll suddenly feel euphoric. You'll suddenly have a burst of energy that you didn't have before. You'll suddenly feel all of those like keto flu-like symptoms go away because the headache will be gone, the fatigue, just all of that negative that happens in the early days, which, oh yeah, by the way, is an electrolyte imbalance. Eat your salt when you're making that transition. But to answer your question, it's going to vary from person to person depending on where they came from, but you will feel it, you will know it when you're there. The energy out the wazoo, the ability to go long periods of time between meals, that won't become evident until you become keto adapted. So your question asked about how long time frame to get into ketosis. I think the more important one is how long to get keto adapted. And for most people, that generally is 2 to 4 total weeks to get keto adapted. Is there any benefits to consuming ghee, says Gerald. I just bought some and heard a lot about it. I like fat and lose hunger. So yes, Gerald, thank you for that question. I love ghee. If you don't know what ghee is, it's clarified butter. It's basically butter where they have removed all of the protein solids that are in there so that all that's left is the fat. The protein in dairy is problematic for some people, especially with autoimmune conditions. And so you remove the dairy protein, then what's left is still pretty darn good for most people dealing with autoimmune conditions and other dairy sensitivities. So ghee is a great option to get that butter taste and flavor without all of the proteins that could be problematic. Now, if you've ever smelled ghee, it smells like popcorn butter. It's pretty glorious. Christine and I, we use some ghee from Pure Indian Foods. I love those guys. They do a really, really good job. They're an Indian family that's been doing this and passed down from generation to generation. They do a really, really good job. There's a bunch of ghee companies out there. I'm going to insult them by not saying their names, but you can look up ghee. It's Ghee. And it is glorious, you guys. I will put it in food. At room temperature, it can be a little bit solid. If you get a little bit warmer than room temperature, say 80, 90 during the summer, it will be liquid. During the winter, when it can kind of get cooler outside and cooler in your house, it will probably get solid. But love, love, love me some ghee. I definitely want to hear what you think about it, Gerald, but thank you for sharing that. AK Bonbon, I was 6 months into menopause. I did 2 66-hour fasts in 1 month. I had a light cycle for 3 months after that. Do you think the fasting had anything to do with that? Yeah, fasting, thank you for that, AK Bonbon. Fasting is a powerful changer of hormones. And so if you are choosing to do a 66-hour fast, it's kind of an interesting time frame, 66 hours. It's like you're so close to 72. Why didn't you go 72? Anyway, I digress. So yeah, you change your hormonal panel. So when you fast for that long, that's almost 3 full days, you're actually lowering your insulin levels pretty significantly, and it's probably affecting some of the other hormones as well. I don't know why you would lose your cycle or have a light cycle, other than maybe it doesn't have to work as hard because the hormones have become more regulated. That's the only thing I can really think of. It's a curious question I would love to address on Keto Talk. Definitely write that one to me, Jimmy@llvlc.com, and we'll try to get that one on the air so I can get Dr. Cole to address it. What do you think about carb ups for postmenopausal women, says Elvira. I'm not opposed to people doing anything that makes them feel better, but I question the veracity of the need for carb ups. Does it mean I don't think anybody should ever do them? No, but I just wonder, what is the purpose? What does adding in 100 grams of carbohydrate in the form of sweet potato and starchy tubers and other things that I've heard people do simply as a means for dealing with symptoms of postmenopause? I've never understood that one. But again, if it gives you benefit, please keep doing it. Don't let me discourage you in any way from doing something that you know helps you. My answer to that would be try it, see how you feel, test your blood sugar, test how your hunger levels are, test your energy levels, all those things. Just be cognizant of who or what's happening with your body, and then act appropriately. If you find that your blood sugar spikes up to 190s after having that carb up, you know that's probably not a good idea, especially if at the 2-hour postprandial after eating, your blood sugar is still not back to baseline again. That would not be good. I want to remove my dental amalgams. Does anyone know the average cost? Yes, Alberto, I had mercury amalgams all up in the upper part here, the lower part here, pretty much all 4 corners of my mouth. I had mercury amalgams from my early 20s when I had chewed hard candy for most of my life and left it in there when I was a kid. Yet another ramification of my crappy garbage days. And so it was back in 2012, 13 that I started writing Cholesterol Clarity, and I found out about how mercury amalgams can raise your cholesterol levels because it's trying to deal with the inflammation that mercury is doing. So I looked up a holistic dentist here in my area. The next town over is Greenville, South Carolina, and I found a holistic dentist, and they were able to remove the mercury amalgams, clean up some infections I had where I had root canals. And the total cost for cleaning up the infections and getting all that mercury amalgam out and then to replace it with good quality was somewhere around $8,500. So it was not chump change to get all that fixed. But man, oh man, has it been worth it. I used to taste the mercury in my mouth. That's how bad it got. It was seeping bad, and I'm sure I was having some health ramifications from that. And oh yeah, by the way, got that taken care of, and 6 months later, my cholesterol had dropped 100 points just by removing the mercury amalgams and getting those infections from the root canals cleaned up. Shows you how powerful your teeth health is on your total health. Because most doctors would have looked at that total cholesterol and gone, oh, you need a statin medication, rather than, I wonder if you need some dental work done, right? So as far as the holistic dentist, by the way, so that they didn't get exposed to the mercury, they came in and like hazmat suits. It was wicked, you guys, because I'm sitting there on the operating table and they're coming in with these big suits so they're not exposed to the mercury. It was the wickedest thing ever. But I'm so glad I got it done. Did you keep the weight off that you lost on the egg fast? So Amy, the egg fast, it's so funny because people are like, well, did you lose weight on the egg fast? Well, of course I did. But I look at the egg fast kind of like I do regular fasting. I look at the egg fast as kind of like a fat fast. The egg fast purpose was not, quote, weight loss. The egg fast purpose was to get your body into fat burning mode again. And for me, people are like, well, should I do an egg fast? I'm like, well, you know, you could get most of those same benefits just by doing a ketogenic diet. And if not a ketogenic diet, you could try the egg fast, kind of kickstart you, and then go keto. But I would push people more towards like a keto carnivore now, which would include eggs, but have meat in there as well. So definitely have shifted my position since I created that about a decade ago. Again, it was the precursor to my understanding of keto. And now that I do understand keto a lot more than I did 10 years ago before it was a thing, I would not necessarily recommend egg fast per se for, and definitely don't focus on weight loss as the goal. It's basically to kickstart you to get your body going into ketosis. We'll be buying eggs this weekend, scrambled, poached, over easy, hard-boiled. I can do it for a week or two. Hey, that'd be fun, Val. I definitely want to hear your experience. Jerry says, yes, I just read the same thing about a cheat day, high carb, causing damage to blood vessels. Yeah, I did a whole Jimmy Rants all about that one. If you want to go look it up on YouTube, just scroll through my page at youtube.com/livin low carb man, or just type in Jimmy Rants. You should be able to find that one. It was only about a week ago. I saw near infrared and far infrared, which is better? Well, I don't think there's a better or best on that one, Alberto. If you talk to the people that sell near infrared, they'll say theirs is better. You talk to the people that get far infrared, they'll say theirs is better. I've tried both. The one that I have downstairs is a near infrared sauna. It's one that you feel the heat pretty darn fast. It's not intensive heat like a steam sauna or anything, but you get heat. A far infrared, you don't feel the heat nearly as quickly, but then it's just like suddenly you start sweating. And so it's kind of an interesting yin and yang if you want to try which one works best. So I had an infrared expert on the Keto Hacking MD podcast last year. He was from this company called Sauna Space. So go check out ketohackingmd.com. Scroll through until you find the infrared sauna guy. I think his first name was Brian something, that we interviewed him on Keto Hacking MD, all about the differences between near and far infrared. Health Truth says blood sugar is still 100 after eating steak, typically ribeye 5 hours later. Trying carnivore for 3 weeks, wondering if maybe I'm responding with too high of an insulin spike. Possibly, but 100 is not bad. I know we all want to be in that like 70, 80 range. It's so perfect, right? It's kind of like that rant I did the other day. Let's not let good get in the way just because we're expecting perfection. 100 is not horrible. Now, if your blood sugar was like 180, at 5 hours postprandial, I'd be like, yeah, you're having some issues going on there. But 100 is not bad. Plus, the variability in blood sugar testing devices is such that I don't know what that 100 means. The 100 may be 100 on the meter, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's actually 100 milligrams per deciliter. That's just what that particular one is. So I wouldn't hang your hat too high on the 100 necessarily being accurate per se. We do know that with blood sugar monitors, there is some variability upwards of 15 to 20% in the numbers. And so in this case, if it's 15 to 20% off, that's 80 to 85 if it's on the lower end of that, that disputed number. So hope that helps. What does fat adapted mean? So Zonagal, it means your body, as a preponderance of the fuel partitioning, your body is burning fat for fuel, okay? And then there's a byproduct of that fat burning that's where the ketones come into play. So fat adapted means you have so shifted your body from sugar burning over to fat burning by reducing the amount of sugar, which comes from sugar and carbohydrates that you consume in your diet. Really anything that turns the sugar in the body. So that also includes moderating down on the protein. This is why a well-formulated ketogenic diet is not high protein. It's low carb, moderate protein, and then high in dietary fat. And of course, people freak out about the high fat. Oh my gosh, are you gorging on fat? When we say high fat, we just mean as a percentage of the total calories. It's the great preponderance of calories coming from fat, probably 70%, 70 to 80% for most people. So when you do that, and you do it over a period of time, like we talked about earlier, generally for most people about 2 to 4 weeks, that fat adaptation kicks in where most of your fuel comes from fat and the byproduct of ketones. So that's what fat adapted means. I don't know, but it makes me feel better. Awesome, Elvira. Always happy to help. CC Guide Dog says, after eating 1 meal a day keto meal, I feel very tired and need a nap. What is happening? Well, it depends on what you're eating. And it also depends on a lot of things going on in your lifestyle. You may have some digestive issues going on where you're not fully absorbing all the nutrients that you're consuming in that meal. I need a little more information about exactly what you're eating, because it's hard to know what would be making you tired simply from I'm eating 1 meal a day keto. That doesn't really tell me a whole lot about what you're specifically eating. So if you want to add in more comments below, I'll be happy to take a look. I'm going to come back to you guys here in a minute. Hang tight, Facebook. Alicia says, so I did not realize lettuce was 2 carbs for 1 cup. I almost didn't count it on my app. How detrimental is it for people that think you can eat all the lettuce you want, not knowing the carb count? Alicia, thank you for bringing this up. There are no free foods in keto. Can we be clear about that? Weight Watchers, damn you. Damn you, Weight Watchers, because you make people think there's 0-point foods and they sit there and load up. Now, is it bad to sit there and eat lettuce? No. But you gotta count all carbs. And some people would look at something like lettuce and go, oh, you don't have to count the carbs in that. That's healthy. That's a slippery slope, you guys. Because once you say, well, you don't have to count the carbs in some X food because it's, quote, healthy, what's to stop people from saying, well, you don't have to count the carbs in whole grains. They're healthy. Right? And so, yes, count all carbs. but don't obsess about it. I think this whole carb counting thing, it's mocked because some people take it to the nth degree. I think if you're eating intuitively, you're eating mostly real whole foods, you're trying to be nutritious in every choice that you make, I don't think we need to bellyache too much about some arbitrary number that we're trying to hit with a carb count. So if I know my carb tolerance level is 30 grams, I'm not going to sit there and worry if I get to 33. That's not really the point of it all, but people freak out when they do that. Don't do that. I think the longer I've done this, the more I'm becoming convinced that if you eat more intuitively and you relax about the choices that you're consuming, you're going to get better results. All right, I've been ignoring Facebook, so let's go back over here, see what you guys are having to say. Sharon says, I just got diagnosed with Meniere's disease. My doctor said I have to follow a low sodium diet. I explained to him that being keto and doing a lot of fasting, I need salt. If I lower it, how will that affect me? I'm afraid my electrolytes will be messed up. Well, here's the thing, Sharon. Definitely listen to what your doctor has to say, and you definitely have an issue that's an autoimmune condition. I don't think it has anything to do with the salt at all, but we actually answered a question about Meniere's on Keto Talk. So either write to me when we're done here, jimmy@llvlc.com. Try to send me some kind of a message. I will try to get you a link directly to that podcast. In fact, when you write to me, say, send me that podcast that you did on Keto Talk answering a question about Meniere's, and I'll try to get that to you. Worst case scenario is I'll have you resubmit your question for Keto Talk, and we will we'll address it on the air. So hopefully that helps you out. I love doing HIIT in a fasted state, total needle mover. Yep. Do you use any specific brand of vitamins and probiotics, says Missy. Specific brands, I do have my own supplement company that I use. I don't really advertise it a whole lot. It's called Keto Living. They're great supplements. I use the multivitamin from there. It's got methylated folate. It's got vitamin D in it. It has no iron in it because most of what you eat on keto has plenty of iron in it. Lots and lots of really great things that are in that multivitamin. So it's called Keto Essentials at ketoliving.com. We also have Berberine Plus, which is a blood sugar modulator that has berberine and banaba leaf and chromium in it to help with your blood sugar control. We have fish oil supplements there. We do not have probiotics, but probiotics are an interesting one because there's so many companies out there that are putting them on the market. Everybody's interested in gut health, and so it could be a little bit overwhelming as to what to take. So I don't have any specific recommendations there because I really, quite frankly, haven't found a company that I fully trust. As far as probiotics, I think you can get them from food, things like sauerkraut and kimchi, kefir, those kinds of things will replenish your probiotics that you need. They just completely disappeared, you guys, as I was scrolling. My triglycerides are high over 1 year on keto, says Christy. What does high mean? Tell me what high means. 1 year on keto. What does high mean, Christy? And what is your blood ketone levels? What's your blood sugar levels? High triglycerides 1 year into keto. Again, I need to know what high means, but let's assume you mean 100 something. What have you been eating? There's so many variables here that I need to see before I can give you an educated answer. I appreciate you sharing your knowledge with us. Learned so much. Thank you, Lana. How many people are coming on the low-carb cruise, says Debbie. So Debbie is one of our featured speakers on the low-carb cruise, so we're real happy to have you, Debbie. Yeah, we're going to have right about 175 to 200 people on the low-carb cruise. Lowcarbcruiseinfo.com, by the way, is the website, the one that's coming up at the end of May, early June. It's an 8-day cruise leaving out of New Jersey port, and we're going down to the Caribbean. And then in the fall, in September, yes, while Jimmy and Christine are on sabbatical, we will have just started the sabbatical a few weeks early. earlier, we do a Keto 101 cruise. That one's leaving out of Miami, Florida on the largest vessel in the world. So we're going to get to be on the largest cruise ship in the world. I think it's Serenade of the Seas from Royal Caribbean, leaving out of Miami port. So we'd love to have you. lowcarbcruiseinfo.com if you're interested. And we don't have numbers on how many signed up for that. Probably about like 40 or 50 so far. Thanks for sharing all these truths about keto versus low fat. You're welcome, Sharon. I tried the low fat diet and all that happened was I became fat and hangry. Exactly. Lori says, I float in and out of ketosis even when I eat meat, fat, and cheese, and double fat to protein, and about 1 to 2 ounces of cheese help. So what does that mean, float in and out of ketosis? What levels of ketones are you getting? So are you getting over 1.0? Are you getting under that 0.5 on the blood meter? How are you measuring for ketosis? It doesn't really tell me a whole lot, Lori, so I need more information to be able to help you. In general, though, if you're eating meat, fat, and cheese, double fat to protein, yeah, you should be getting plenty of fat if you're doing double the fat to protein. Knowing exactly what you eat in a meal for the day, meals for the day would be helpful. If you want to write me your menus, Jimmy@llvlc.com. I'll be happy to take a look at that. Show me your blood ketone readings. Give me a little more information because that doesn't help. Carla says, what helps with fibromyalgia? Because medication simply doesn't work. So fibromyalgia is one of those tricky ones because they say you have fibromyalgia. And they did this with Christine. They pulled this crap with Christine. It just frustrated me to no end because, oh, you have fibromyalgia. Because fibromyalgia is this catch-all disease that they like to say you have, especially you women, when they don't know what the heck's going on. And what usually is going on, in Christine's case, she had a vitamin D deficiency that was causing her some of these symptoms that mimic the effects of what fibromyalgia will be. Most people diagnosed with fibromyalgia, you don't got fibromyalgia. So I would get to the root cause of actually what's going on, Carla. Go look up a functional medicine doctor who could work with you and run specific labs. My Keto Talk co-host, Dr. Will Cole, is a great functional medicine practitioner. About 80% of the patients he sees is over Skype, so definitely go to his website, drwillcole.com, drwillcole.com. He'll be happy to help you out and run appropriate labs to see how you're doing. All right, if you're just joining us, we are answering kind of an open Q&A about keto, cholesterol, fasting, podcasting, book writing, whatever floats your boat. And we are back on Instagram Live. What's the best time to test your blood sugar and ketones? I've been doing it first thing in the morning in a fasted state. Great question. So if you're going to test your blood sugar and your ketones, you're doing it at exactly the right time of day, one of the 2 times of day that I think you should do it. Do you have to do it every day? No, but if you're going to test in the morning, first thing after you wake up, before you have your coffee, go to the bathroom first, but then pull out the blood meter, prick your finger, run your blood sugar, and run your blood ketone. Keep in mind, that blood ketone you have in the morning will typically be the lowest reading of the day. Part of the reason why you have lower ketones in the morning is a direct result of your cortisol levels that help to wake you up. Cortisol goes higher in the mornings, and it's that elevated cortisol that then raises your blood sugar, and when blood sugar goes up, ketones will go down. So don't get discouraged if you see a lower level of ketosis in the morning, 0.6, 0.8. That can be a little bit lower, and people are like, oh my gosh, I thought keto was going to be good. And it is good, just not right first thing in the morning when you've got the cortisol in your blood. Same thing with your blood sugar. When you test it in the morning, some people have this thing called the dawn phenomena. You might have heard people call it physiologic insulin resistance. What it actually is a glucose sparing effect. There are definitely parts of the body that need glucose, and when you're not eating carbohydrate in your diet, that glucose needs to come from somewhere, and what it is gluconeogenesis happening from the fat and protein that you consumed the day before, so that then when the cortisol raises in the morning to wake you up, it raises your blood sugar. You have all of this extra blood sugar in your blood that's going to go to be used in the body for the glucose-dependent functions, things in the brain and the heart, all over the body. And a few hours after you wake up, all of that high blood sugar that might be upwards of 110, 115, maybe even close to 120, don't worry about it, because 3 hours later, you test your blood sugar and it's in the 80s and 90s. So it's a beautiful thing. Now, as far as what other times of the day you could be measuring, you can measure it any time of the day. But if you're going to do it a second point after the morning, I would highly recommend do it in the evening, at least 4 hours after your last meal. So if you eat dinner at, say, 5 o'clock, around 9 o'clock, pull out your glucometer, pull out your blood ketone meter, and prick your finger, and let's see how you're doing. Your blood sugar at that point of the day, 4 hours postprandial after eating, should be in a very normal range. So whatever your normal is, if it's 85, you should be right around 85 at that point of the day, maybe even leaning a little bit lower because of this next number. Your blood ketones are going to be the highest probably of the entire day right before you go to bed. And what that is your body is going to have about twice as many ketones at night as it does in the day, because that's also the time of the day when your cortisol levels should be at their lowest. Now, if you run some cortisol testing and you find that your cortisol is all out of whack, then obviously that's going to mess with your blood sugar and your ketone levels. But in a normal, healthy metabolism, your cortisol will tend to be at its lowest right before you go to bedtime, which is why you have higher blood ketones when you measure at night. Now, you can test anytime during the day. Definitely kind of do a little finger prick every once in a while if you want to, you're just curious about what's going on, maybe after eating, maybe after exercising, but not right after exercise, at least a couple hours after. Test and see how you are. Now, you don't need to always test. I think you can become very obsessive about testing, and it's very expensive to keep pricking your finger. But test and check in every once in a while just to see how you're doing with your keto plan. What do you think of bone broth fasts, says Daniel. I'm actually not a fan, Danielle. I called you Daniel, sorry. I'm not a fan of bone broth fasts, and let me tell you why. When I first started doing some extended fasting, I was writing a book with Dr. Jason Fung called The Complete Guide to Fasting. And I'm like, if I'm going to talk about extended fast, I got to do extended fast. So I started doing these long fasts, started off as 7 days, and then I did 3 21-day fasts. I did one fast in January a couple years ago, 28 out of 31 days. And in the early days of doing these longer fasts, I thought, oh, I'm going to need something like bone broth. I'm going to need something like kombucha. I'm going to need some nourishment of some sort. And what I discovered by doing those with bone broth and then not doing them with anything but water and salt is when I did them with bone broth, I was far hungrier. Because yes, bone broth is very nutritious. Bone broth is very healing. But bone broth also has calories. And when you consume any calories at all, when your purpose is to be fasting, when you eat calories, you're sending signals hormonally and metabolically to your body, oh, we're about to get food. So then when you give it 40 calories worth of bone broth, and then you follow it up with another 40 calories worth of another cup of bone broth, and then another, and then another, and then another, where you have 8-10 cups of bone broth in a day when you're fasting. Let's say you do the 10 cups of bone broth is 400 calories. Your body is probably going to scream at you, what the bleep are you doing to me? Because it's well under what would be considered the normal amount of calories for your body. And so your body is not stupid. When you give it food, and yes, bone broth, it's liquid, but it's still food because it's got calories in it. When you give it food, it's like, okay, we're eating today. Here we go. All right. Why do we only have 400 calories? We still need another like 1,000 more calories. Where's the calories? Come on. And the way it does that is it sends signals to you, and you get hungry because it's stoking the hormones. Bone broth, totally healthy, you guys. But when you're fasting, you need to be fasting. And when you're feasting, you feast. And I think people, they want to try to have a crutch when they're fasting. The best crutch you can give yourself when you're fasting is to fast. And that means water and salt. You do water and salt. Get you a good quality salt like pink Himalayan sea salt, Redmond salt. Those are really good quality salts. And then mix it with unflavored water, just plain water. And if you're going to fast, by golly, fast. And don't try to convolute it because your body will get mixed signals if you try to feed it bone broth. So I'm not a fan, Danielle. My daily 1 meal a day today was 4 hard-boiled eggs, a half of an avocado, a cup of mixed greens, several ounces of whole milk, mozzarella cheese, a handful of walnuts, and a cup of blueberries, and it put me asleep. Well, I'm seeing a lot of carbohydrates in there, so maybe you're sensitive to the sugar that's in the blueberries. The avocado, half an avocado has a modicum of carbohydrates. Mixed greens has carbs. I wonder, CC Guide Dogs, thank you for sharing that meal. I wonder if you might be a candidate to try kind of a keto carnivore, and that would give you benefit. I'd love to see you try it where you only do animal-based foods. So pretty much what you did here, 4 hard-boiled eggs, that's fine. You could do the mozzarella cheese, that's fine. And then add in maybe a little bit of beef into the mix. I wonder if that would mix things up enough for you, because I'm wondering if some of those carbs, all healthy carbs, but some of those carbs could be stoking some of that tiredness. I'd love, love, love to see. You also had 3 strips of bacon covered in olive oil. So there you go. So you're doing a lot of good things in there, but I wonder if trying a keto carnivore might give you benefit. Oh, I see my friends from Alterna Sweets just got here. I love you too. We actually ordered 3 more bottles of Alterna Sweets. If you guys want a ketchup that actually tastes like ketchup that's keto, go to alternasweets.com. These guys have the most amazing ketchup, and they have a spicy ketchup and a barbecue sauce. That's like a sweet barbecue sauce for those of you that eat Memphis barbecue and Texas barbecue. It's really, don't do Carolina barbecue. That's the grossest stuff in the world, man. Too vinegary. But I had to buy some more Alterna Sweets. I had to buy some on Amazon because my subscription with you guys, we ran out. So I need to up my subscription. I think I'm getting 4 bottles now. I think I need to up it to like 6 or 7 bottles a month so I don't run out, because that was a travesty. Alicia says, I've been making keto options at my restaurant, keto desserts, and I can't make it fast enough. It's amazing how this way of eating is finally getting the attention it deserves. Alicia, I want to come to your restaurant. Where are you located, my dear? That's awesome. Yeah, we keep looking for more signs that keto is catching on in the culture. I know Chipotle did a keto menu option. But yeah, I mean, they usually these things, they kind of trickle out slowly to the restaurants. They want to make sure a trend sticks before they start adding on options. They did vegetarian and vegan just because everybody's always asking probably for that. But I wonder if they have so many people between the paleo people and the people that ate low carb Atkins and the people that eat Whole30 and now the keto people and the real food people. I wonder if they have options that now they see, oh my gosh, look at all these people that keep coming in asking for sugar-free and keto and blah, blah, blah. So the best keto dessert you can make, it's so easy for them to do, is like a cheesecake. How easy is it to make a keto cheesecake? Come on. Kimberly says fibromyalgia is a bucket of spit. is a bucket of doctors put what they do not know into it. Keto has helped mine. Yeah, I don't think I don't think fibromyalgia, most people diagnosed with it actually have fibromyalgia. Wow, I'm running out of time on Instagram, you guys. What's required to do a podcast? A degree, equipment? No, just a mouth. And you got one, Kimberly. Use it. Spot on with the bone broth. First fast with bone broth was so much harder than the second fast without. Carnivore with sauce is amazing. Yes, it is. Anna, what's the difference between keto carnivore and carnivore? I have explained this one, but the major difference is keto carnivore does the template of the ketogenic diet with all meat. I tried keto carnivore 2 months, mostly ground beef and water, gained 10 pounds. What do you think happened? Any number of things could have happened. If you gain 10 pounds for 2 months, it's possible you overate on the meat. Definitely need to listen to satiety signals. Maybe I will win the visit from donating to Dr. Barry. Yeah. Yes, keto cheesecake is what they have gone crazy over. Yes, Alicia. All right, so hang tight, Facebook. I'm running out of time on the Jimmy Rant, so I need to close the show, but I'll be back to you for a little after-hour answering questions. But you guys here on Instagram, thanks for watching this episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. As always, you can join us live here on Instagram or on Facebook at Living Low Carb Man. If you missed the live, you can watch it on replay for up to 24 hours here on Instagram. After that, go watch it on YouTube. Type in a keyword, Jimmy Rants. You will find the show. Finally, we have the best of the best moments of this here show in podcast form. It's the Jimmy Rants podcast over on Apple Podcasts and Stitcher. All of these links, you guys, are at jimmyrants.com. So until next time, Instagram Live, we'll see you then.